It is 9:11 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time. It is the 12th day of June 2025. This is episode 1114 of Bitcoin and welcome. Where the reading's done for you, the narratives get shredded and the signal stays uncut. This is your host, David Bennett, and we've got the news today for Bitcoin. We've got several stories, so we're just going to dive right in to the crybabies over at the FSB, who are warning that crypto is nearing a tipping point as ties to traditional finance deepen. Amin Hashanis has this one for Cointelegraph. The Financial Stability Board, the FSB, is sounding an alarm on growing risks from the crypto sector, warning that interlinkages, oh my God, with traditional finance are nearing a critical threshold. Speaking in Madrid on Thursday, outgoing FSB chair Klaas Knot, jeez, these names, said that while crypto does not yet pose a systemic risk to traditional finance, that status may not last much longer. Quote, "We may be approaching a tipping point here," he said. Not noted that entry barriers for retail investors have dropped significantly, particularly with the introduction of crypto exchange traded funds. Not added that another area of concern is the stablecoin market. Yes, he noted that issuers now hold very large amounts of United States treasuries, which increases the linkages between crypto and traditional finance. Quote, "That's a segment that we must monitor closely." Gee, I wonder why. Well, let's continue with stablecoins. Our digital assets pegged to fiat currencies like the US dollar, they're becoming increasingly embedded into financial systems. And according to data from DeFi Llama, the total market cap of stablecoins is just north of $250 billion. A recent research paper by the Bank for International Settlements analyzed the growing impact of stablecoins on traditional finance, focusing on their influence on short-term United States Treasury yields. By using daily data from 2021 to 2025 and an instrumental variable method, the paper found that stablecoin inflows lower 3-month Treasury yields by 2 to 2.5 basis points within 10 days, while outflows raise yields by 6 to 8 basis points. These effects are concentrated in short-term maturities with minimal impact on longer-term bonds. Among issuers, USDT has the largest effect, of course, followed by Circle's USDC, confirming the influence of stablecoins in treasury markets. Knot, who also serves as president of the Dutch central bank, De Nederlandse Bank, will step down from both of his roles on June the 30th. Bank of England Governor Andrew Bailey is set to succeed him at the FSB, while the Netherlands has yet to appoint a replacement. On Wednesday, the United States Senate voted 68 to 30 to advance the Guiding and Establishing National Innovation for U.S. Stablecoins, or GENIUS Act. The vote paves the way for floor debate and a final vote before the bill moves to the House of Representatives, and if passed, the bill would create national framework for stablecoin issuance, boosting the U.S. digital asset industry's global competitiveness. I really wish they didn't end with that one, because it really sucks the air out of what's really going on with what Klaas Knot is actually saying. Let's get back. I want to get back up here to the top. And he says, this one is the most telling. Knot noted that entry barriers for retail investors have dropped significantly, particularly with the introduction of crypto exchange traded funds. But then he becomes increasingly concerned of the clear effects on short-term treasury yields that things like Tether and Circle are having. You know, I'm not a fan of stablecoins, but you also know that stablecoins are not going away, or at least that's my working theory. Because they're not going away and there's nothing I can do about it, and you also know that I'm working on the thesis that Tether, in particular, Tether is going to be used to export United States debt when we crank up those money printers, and we will crank up the money printers. Nothing stops the train. The only thing that you can do is get it to move a little faster so that when it finally hits the wall, maybe it'll punch through it. It won't, but yeah, they're going to be their thinking. Nothing stops the train. They're just going to put on more gas. So they're going to crank up the money printer, but they're going to be able to export that debt to other countries instead of just swimming in our own debt that we produce. We will send it to Kenya and Ghana and the rest of the African continent and Central America and South America and everywhere else but here. That's going to be USDC's job, or Circle's stablecoin. So with these two things together, right, this concern that retail investors are easily able to access this brand new asset class, and the fact that they really don't know what the effect that Tether buying treasury bonds are going to actually be on the rest of the world, they're terrified. And rightly so. In fact, he's not entirely wrong about being concerned about this, because you and I don't know what the hell. I can say all day long what I think is going to happen with my thesis. Okay, great. What if I'm wrong? What if it could be something completely different? I don't think it will be, but even if it is exactly what I say it's going to be, we don't even know the long-term effects of what that looks like, do we? No, but we are in uncharted territory. Klaus Knott and his little band of merry men are just as clueless as the rest of the world as what happens next. Nobody knows what's going on. And because of this, I feel fine when I say the following. It makes me happy that people like Klaus Knott are scared, that they're terrified, that they feel their power slipping away. Does it mean that it will be good for the rest of the plebs? Not necessarily, especially the plebs that are going to have inordinate amounts of United States dropped on them, like we flew a B-52 bomber over their heads and opened the bomb bay doors and just let her rip. Now, that's what it's going to look like, except it's not going to be one B-52, right? It's going to be hundreds, thousands, just flying over the other 6 continents of the planet and just dropping debt like it's ordnance. Is just going to be probably a terrible thing for everybody but the United States, possibly Western Europe, or at least the EU, because somehow or another we're still terribly connected to each other. But Europe should be terrified, because they know that even though that they were probably one of the very last unions on this planet that are going to be firebombed with United States debt, they know it's coming, and they know there's nothing they can do about it. And even if we didn't do it to them directly, they're so connected to the rest of the world that when we do start dropping our debt on all these other countries in ways that you've never seen before, and I've never seen before, nobody's ever seen before, they will be affected, and it will be negative. They do not like this. One of the third theses that I have is that the United States is in open conflict with the European Union and wants them to die. And this whole stablecoin, Bitcoin thing that has just propped up, they're going to leverage it for evil deeds. I guarantee it. It doesn't make Bitcoin any less secure. It doesn't make it any less valuable. But evil people are going to do evil things, and a hammer does not have a choice as to who it's wielded by, right? So I feel bad for Klaus, but I do hope that he has nightmares because he's one of the progenitors of what's caused the problems in this world, him and people like him for the last, I don't know, man, let's just call it 250 years and be done with it. That way we can talk a little bit more about Tether. Yeah, because we're continuing with the story of Tether here because they have acquired 1/3 of a stake in a Canadian gold-focused firm named Elemental for $89 million. Yeah, this is important because we already know they've got 50 tons of gold in reserve. We know they've got, like, I don't even know how much Bitcoin. I think it's like was it 100,000 Bitcoin or something like that in reserve? They're going to stack gold and Bitcoin. Paolo's not an idiot, man, but stablecoin and gold-backed token issuer Tether has acquired approximately a 32% stake in Canadian precious metals royalty company Elemental Altus Royalties Corporation through its affiliated but independent investment arm named Tether Investments. The investment offers Tether diversified exposure to global gold production through a royalty and streaming model that sidesteps direct operational risks of mining. The firm said in a statement on Thursday, Elemental provides funding to mining companies in exchange for royalties on future revenue or the right, and this is the important part, the right to purchase metals at a discount. At the acquisition price of 1.55 Canadian dollars, which is about $1.14 US, Tether investments 78,421,780 common shares in Elemental are worth around 121.6 million Canadian dollars. Elemental shares fell 2% on Wednesday, but are up 34.2% year to date, according to TradingView. Including the 4,360,511 shares that it already holds, Tether's total ownership will rise to 82,782,000 shares, which is about 33.7% of the company's outstanding shares. Quote, building on previous discussions with Tether, we are very pleased to officially welcome Tether as the company's brand spanking new major shareholder. Their unmatched ability to support the company in its next phase of growth is exciting for all stakeholders and shareholders and is a positive for the gold royalty sector. Tether is one of the world's largest companies, largest holders of U.S. treasuries, and a growing investor in the gold space. The gold space. A growing investor in the gold space. I've said it 3 times because it's important. For those, just pausing, please, guys, for those Bitcoiners out there that are going, gold sucks, only Bitcoin. I don't think that's entirely the right way to think about this. Gold has several issues. It has 2 major problems. One, you can't transport it because it has mass. It's highly dense. That's one of the reasons why people love this metal so much, right? But you also can't transmit it at the speed of light, right? So that's kind of 2 sub-problems all contained in one. The other one is that there's a shit ton more gold out there in this solar system than anybody can possibly even imagine. We already are fairly certain that there's an asteroid out there that at current ounce prices of gold would be worth something like $100 quadrillion. And I've heard dumbass news stories say the following: there's the gold asteroid that could make everybody on Earth a billionaire overnight. No, it can't. Because if you import that much gold, let's say we go out there, we attach a whole shit ton of rockets to it, and we fly it into near Earth orbit, and we put it in, into orbit around the Earth so it doesn't crash into the planet, blah, blah, blah. And we just mine gold and we just continuously send it down to the Earth, right? It's just going to devalue the purchasing power of the gold that's already present on this planet. If you think that's the only nugget of gold out there in the asteroid field or belt or wherever this thing is, it's definitely within our solar system, and it's definitely between Mars and Earth, so it's fairly close from that standpoint. If you think that's the only nugget of gold that's out there, you are mistaken. So that's the second problem with gold. Its emission rate is completely unknown outside of the boundaries of the Earth. We're going to be a spacefaring race. I mean, we kind of already are. We've sent, men to the moon. Yeah, I know there's people out there that don't believe that. I wasn't there. I don't know. I'm just going to say, let's go with it. Okay. We got men on the moon. That's as far out as a person from the human race has actually gotten. Solar system's a big place, y'all. Gold is everywhere, and it's not just in this solar system. You need two neutron stars collapsing and colliding together and exploding to be able to have enough nuclear furnace to forge gold, right? Guess what? There's billions of galaxies, hundreds of billions of galaxies, each one holding like trillions of stars, and that's just what we think of in math. The amount of gold that's in the universe right now makes all the gold on the planet worthless. Those are the two central problems with gold. But until we become a spacefaring race that can go attach rockets to this fucking nugget of gold and bring it back to Earth orbit, we ain't got nothing to worry about. So in the short to medium term, gold has value. From my standpoint, gold has value as a local currency to be used in your local markets. That's where gold should be used. I'm not going to put gold into an envelope and send it to you in India because I want some, Indian spices or whatever it is that I want. I'm going to use Bitcoin for that. Tether has the right attitude here. They're getting both. They're positioning themselves for not only the short and medium term, but for the longer term. We're talking about a company that is looking at three things as fundamental facts of economics on this planet. That is U.S. Treasury bills, which represents the global reserve monetary currency. They're looking at gold, which is short to medium term wealth, and they're looking at Bitcoin, which is everything. Takes the place of treasuries, will take the place of gold, it'll take the place of anything else into the future for a long, 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 long time. And Tether knows that. Circle doesn't. Tether wins this, by the way. So let's just continue, because this move is part of Tether's broader strategy to integrate long-term stable assets like gold and Bitcoin into its ecosystem, both as a hedge and to support its goal of building robust and decentralized infrastructures for the digital economy. The shares were acquired from La Mancha Investments, with the transaction completed offshore via a private agreement on June the 10th. Tether Investments also signed an agreement with Alpha Stream Limited and its wholly owned subsidiary Alpha One SPV Limited on Tuesday, granting it the option, though not the obligation, to acquire an additional 34.5 million elemental common shares, currently worth around $38.7 million, in an offshore deal. The option can't be exercised before October 29th of 2025 unless it's approved by Elemental and is subject to certain terms and conditions, Tether noted. If the option is exercised, Tether would hold 117,226,000 common shares, representing just under 50% of the company's outstanding shares. Quote, Tether's growing investment in gold and Bitcoin reflects our forward-looking strategy to build a more resilient and transparent financial system. Just as Bitcoin provides the ultimate decentralized hedge against monetary inflation, gold continues to be a time-tested store of value. By gaining exposure to a diversified portfolio of gold royalties through Elemental, we are strengthening the backing of our ecosystem while advancing Tether Gold and future commodity-backed digital assets. This is not just about investment, it's about building financial infrastructure for the next century. Okay, I want to pause just here. This sentence, I want you to start looking for this sentence everywhere. Not just this sentence structure, where they say it'll be something like this. Let's do these two sentences together. Let's see. By gaining exposure to a diversified portfolio of gold royalties through Elemental, we are strengthening the backing of our ecosystem while advancing Tether Gold and future commodity-backed digital assets. This is not just about investment, it's about building financial infrastructure for the next century. That was written by AI. I can tell because of the last sentence. Start looking for this sentence structure. This is not just about X, it's about Y. Or X plus Y. Let's do it that way. This isn't just about X. This is about X plus Y. That's the sentence structure. I'm seeing this sentence structure everywhere. And I know it's AI because when I'm using AI, I get this sentence structure. It pops up when I ask a question. When I say, hey, would you do me a favor, give me a couple of ideas for, I don't know, maybe presenting the show a little bit better on Twitter or something like that, or on nostr, something that's more eye-catching, because I suck at writing and it's nice to have another pair of eyeballs on it. I'm seeing it's not just about X, it's about X plus Y. I see that sentence structure everywhere. It is a telltale that something was written by AI. So be careful when you're using AI, and if you don't now, you probably will in the future. And if you don't ever want to do it, that's fine too. I'm not casting any judgment here. I'm just saying when you see that pop up in your response, you need to rewrite that sentence. Otherwise, people are going to know off the bat that you just copy pasted something from AI. But that's an aside. Tether Group recently disclosed holdings of over 100,000 Bitcoin and nearly 80 tons, not 50, but 80 tons of physical gold alongside its Tether Gold token, XAUT, backed by physical gold, which has become a key part of the firm's product and risk strategy. Quote, we believe in financial systems that are backed by real assets, not just promises. Our investments in Elemental complements our long-standing belief that tangible assets like Bitcoin and gold will underpin the most durable forms of digital value. Tether Investments stated that they may seek further collaboration with Elemental's leadership on governance and long-term strategy, subject to applicable regulations and market conditions. Tether's going to be one of the most valuable companies on the planet inside of 10 years. It just is. I don't have to like them. I don't have to hate them. Hell, I don't even have to be neutral on them. I just think that that's a good standpoint for me, considering what I'm trying to bring you guys on a daily basis. This is an important company because they're making the correct moves. Until at such time, Paulo Ardoino makes bad decisions, like, I don't know, selling gold pieces with the Doge Shibu Inu stamped on it like doubloons or something like that, I'm going to continue to think that he's making the correct movements here. He's going to be a backing company. This thing is going to start acting more like a black hole than anything that you've ever seen. I think what's happening here is that they're setting themselves up to do a Michael Saylor type of strategy, only on fucking steroids, and something that doesn't look anything like Michael Saylor's strategy if you look at it at surface value. That's really all I got to say about it, but you have to watch what Tether's doing. I don't care what kind of regulatory moats Jeremy Allaire and his little band of merry men over there at Circle try to throw up. They're not going to survive the long term. They do not have the stones for it. Clearly, Tether does. Again, I'm not praising him. I'm just saying, I'm just calling balls and strikes, guys. So yesterday I brought you news about Marty Bent's opportunity cost. It's a browser extension, but Ryan Gladwin wrote up basically a deeper view of what this thing is, and I want to read it to you. This is out of Decrypt. A new browser extension converts prices on every website into Bitcoin and sats. Its creator says that the extension is a step towards mass adoption, will help him in his personal life, and might even stop unnecessary purchases. Ninja Blender for 84,182 sats, a Lamborghini for 3.83 BTC, a luxury 5-bedroom apartment overlooking Central Park, a mere 560 Bitcoin. Highest paid athlete, Cristiano Ronaldo's entire yearly earnings is 2,570 BTC. Holy smokes, that's a huge paycheck. Viewing money in Bitcoin and sats instead of dollars can be refreshing and kind of funny, but the extension's creator says it also opens your eyes as to how much Bitcoin you could stack instead. Opportunity cost launched on Chrome and Brave browser on Tuesday with Firefox compatibility to follow soon. Immediately, it was met by social media buzz as crypto enthusiasts flocked like seagulls, a flock of seagulls, get it, to see their favorite products and sats, and started to realize how much Bitcoin they were spending on dumbass shit. Here they say silly purchases, but whatever. The extension was created by Marty Bent, managing partner at investment firm 1031 and founder of media company TFTC. Bent told Decrypt that the extension serves multiple purposes, but most importantly, it's a memetic tool for normies to understand what he believes the future will look like. Quote, you can try to explain things to them. You can grab them by the shoulders. You can shake them. You can urge them to do things. Many people hear you when you do that, but not many listen. So I thought this app was a good way to help people see Bitcoin and really begin to conceptualize what the world looks like if Bitcoin were their money. Ironically, it launched the very same day that the economist and longtime Bitcoin critic Peter Schiff said he would admit he was wrong about the cryptocurrency as if everything became priced in Bitcoin. The opportunity cost extension is a step in the right direction for this to become a reality, the creator said. Quote, I don't imagine that many people who aren't into Bitcoin will download it at first, but the power of the tool is that it can go very viral because people who are into Bitcoin will take screenshots of things priced in Bitcoin, share that, and the people who are outside will see that and begin hopefully to have questions enter their mind about Bitcoin, end quote. While he hates the term Bitcoin maxi, Bent understands that most people would label him and his company as exactly that. He says that he uses Bitcoin every day as a form of payment, and his company, TFTC, pays all of its employees at least partly in Bitcoin. As such, the extension doubles as a tool to help his employees better understand the pricing of the products that they're purchasing. Bent believes that Bitcoin is simply a better type of money to hold and use rather than fiat currencies because the dollar is inflationary, and for that reason, he opposes the use of stablecoins, crypto tokens tied to the price of fiat currencies like the US dollar. Quote, they're still tethered, pun intended, to the dollar, which is being inflated every year, he said, alluding to Tether, the issuer of the world's largest stablecoin. Quote, stablecoins are inherently unstable in the sense that they are tied to a continuously debasing currency, and so I think you want to hold better money. To illustrate the point further, a new feature in development will show users how products cost less Bitcoin due to its rising value, even as those same products cost more in fiat currency due to inflation. By viewing products in Bitcoin, he also thinks that it may reduce unnecessary spending habits. As you're shopping on the web and engaging in consumerism, it's also not only to help you gauge how much you're spending in Bitcoin, but also to ask yourself the question, would I rather have this trinket that I'm buying online right now or buy this much Bitcoin? He added, quote, when you see a 4-bedroom apartment in New York City priced at 500 Bitcoin, it forces one to question, is that apartment really worth 500 Bitcoin? It's an important question. It really is an important question. And it really is an important question when it comes to the Circle P, which is open. Circle P is where I bring plebs just like you that have goods and services for sale to plebs just like you who might actually want to buy something from a fellow pleb rather than a massive, dysfunctional corporate shit show. Here we have peonylanewine.com. Do you like wine? I like wine. And this dude, Ben Justman, he grows his wine in high altitude environments in I believe it's northwest Colorado, but it's high altitude wine. It makes a lot of sugar. The sunlight on the mountainside, high up in altitude in Colorado. You want to talk about getting irradiated by the sun, man, go skiing. Go freaking skiing and see. It's like, oh, well, it's not going to be all that bad. Even in the winter time, when the sun is low in the horizon, just like getting blasted with a freaking maser, man. And it does wonders for photosynthesis. And what does photosynthesis make? It makes sugars. And where do the sugars go in a grapevine? It goes into the grapes. And what do we need to make high quality alcohol? We need sugar in the grapes. Or whatever it is that you're doing. In this case, it's wine. He makes red wines and he takes Bitcoin for it. So, if you want to support me, then support Ben Justman by buying his wine. You can buy it in Bitcoin. If you're not paying in Bitcoin or if you're not selling in Bitcoin, you're not in the Circle P. And he does. He's set up with Zapright to be able to take on-chain or Lightning payments. You can do that at peonylanewine.com. That's Peony Lane Wine, Peony, peonylanewine.com. And in the notes section of your, and you can pay in fiat too. So either way, whether you're doing a Zapright invoice or a regular invoice, there's a comment section. Just drop I heard about it on Bitcoin, and just make sure that Bitcoin and is somewhere in there. He's not giving you a discount. Me and Ben worked it out where he's just trying out the Circle P. If you tell him that you heard about it here on the Circle P and he makes a sale, then he gets to determine how much of that sale he thinks I was worth for making that sale for him. And then he will get me on the other end with Satoshis. That's the nature of the Circle P. It's not just about the circle economy. It's not about making just a circular economy for plebs. It's not just about me getting something for my time here. It's about how do we arrange ourselves in a situation where we can support each other. Like when you support Ben Justman and Peony Lane Wine at peonylanewine.com, then you're supporting me. Because Ben can then go, hey, he made a sale. This is great. I'm going to cut him some Satoshis. And then all of a sudden, I get Satoshis for the value that I put into making this spot for him. And then I bring the show to you. And you listen, and hopefully you laugh, and you figure out what the hell's going on in Bitcoin for the day, and you decide you didn't like what I said, so you want to get drunk and hammered about it, so you go to peonylanewine.com. That's peonylanewine.com. You grab 3 bottles of his wine, you pay for it in Bitcoin, and all of a sudden it's a circular loop, man. It's going to be great. I promise you. Now, the dollar index has fallen, and it's causing some issues today. The dollar index falls below 98 for the first time in not 1, not 2, but 3 years. And it's giving room for crypto. Crypto to run. James Van Stratton, please use Bitcoin. The dollar index, which is a measure of the dollar's relative strength against a basket of major global currencies, dropped below 98 for the first time since 2022. This move signals a notable shift in global currency markets and could create a favorable environment for risk assets, especially Bitcoin. He actually says the word cryptocurrencies, but I just cut it out. In recent years, a DXY reading above 100 has typically reflected dollar dominance and a risk-off sentiment. often weighing on equities and digital assets. Conversely, a weakening dollar eases financial conditions, boosts global liquidity, and tends to benefit speculative and or risk assets. Several factors are contributing to the current decline. U.S. headline inflation came in at 2.4% year over year, slightly below the consensus estimate of 2.5%, strengthening market expectations for a dovish monetary policy shift. No, it's working. I told you this yesterday. Jerome Powell thinks he's right. It's working. He has all the ammunition he needs to go up against Trump and say, I ain't doing dick, old man. And by the way, you shouldn't have pissed me off by calling me all these names, so it's going to make it even harder for me to become unrecalcitrant. Not lowering rates. It's working. If there hadn't have been a fight between Jerome Powell and Trump, that may have been a different story. But no. We are humans. We are hairless apes that fell out of the tree. And I guarantee you, Jerome Powell's he's feeling a little unappreciated. Remember the old adage, you catch more flies with honey? Trump wasn't using honey with Jerome Powell. He is very less likely to lower rates and go dovish. All these people keep expecting him to do it. I don't think it's coming this summer. Anyway, according to the CME FedWatch tool, markets are now pricing in a 99.8% probability of a rate cut in June. Oh, at this meeting. Oh, wow. Let's see. Now, I think this meeting is coming up in a couple of days here, but they're expecting a target range to drop to 4.25% to 4.5%. I don't understand. That's what we're at right now. That's exactly where we're at. We are already at 4.25 to 4.5% on the 10-year. On the 10-year. So I don't know exactly what they're talking about, but whatever, growing narratives around de-dollarization combined with policy uncertainty from the Trump administration's trade and tariff policies have eroded confidence in the dollar, accelerating its decline. Yeah, for the short term. And in the longer term, but I don't know, man, in the medium term, I think it could shift. Who knows? All I know is we are on a wild ride, and it's probably going to get more wild. Let's run the numbers. CNBC futures and commodities. I got oil down almost a half. Still chilling at 67.86, which is pretty high. Brent North Sea is down 0.69% to 69.29. Natural gas is up a third to $3.52 per thousand, and gasoline is down a full point, still hanging out at $2.14 a gallon. Most of your shiny metal rocks are doing well this morning. Gold is up almost 2 full points to 34.06 and 5 dimes. Silver is up 0.18%. Platinum is up 1.14%. Copper is up a third. Palladium is the only thing in the red, down 2 1/3 points. Most of ag is in the red today. Biggest winner is going to be chocolate, 1.79% to the upside. Biggest loser appears to be wheat. Cool whip. Anyway, 1.5% to the downside. Live cattle is down a quarter, lean hogs are up a quarter, and feeder cattle moving downward 1/10 of a point. The Dow moving straight up sideways, slightly in the green. S&P is up a quarter, NASDAQ is up a third, and the S&P Mini is down 0.11%. Meanwhile, Bitcoin is at $107,600. That is a $2.14 trillion market cap. And we can purchase 31.6 ounces of shiny metal rocks with our one Bitcoin, of which there are 19,877,775.84 of. And average fees per block are low at 0.03 BTC taken in fees on a per block basis. There are 4 blocks carrying 7,000 transactions waiting to clear at high priority rates of 3 Satoshis per VByte. Low priority is going to get you in at the same. Wow, 933.5 exahashes per second. Ladies and gentlemen, yesterday it was at 900 and I think it was like 918. So miners coming back online ladies and gentlemen. And from the Empire Can't Stack, yesterday's episode of Bitcoin and I got Psyduck with 715. Sat says Psyduck. Chill Now with 555 says process start. Why the fuck is everybody freaking out about this bullshit? Forced nose rings proposed, arresting insider trough feeding politicians, corporate copycats, euthanizing themselves. Corporate copycats euthanizing themselves can only be a good thing. Despite it all, it's a normal day. NunyaBidness, bringing undeniability and omnipresent peace out of the digital chaotic fear-mongering maelstrom. Process end. Caught smiling. Yodel with 511 says, I like the little weather report read. Hi there, fellow boosters. How are you doing, fellow kids? Turkey with 500 says nothing again. Come on, Turkey, don't be a turkey. Thank you, sir. With 500 says, I was just in Connecticut. The people were great. Pity about the government. Well, that's true for everything, isn't it? Every country, every state, every city. The people are great. You know why they're great? Because they're not ruling something. They're not trying to control shit. I guarantee you that does something to your mind. Whatever. I just don't freaking care. Thank you, sir, with another 500 says, staying calm and moisturized here, Captain. Thank you, sir. No, thank you. Heron Gone with 200 says, you know how once in a while text will get duplicated, and as long as that's been happening, people as well as myself will still text back and say, hey, why'd you text me twice? Like, we don't know, but just imagine that happening with zaps. Boosts, I suppose, in this instance. There'd either be an uproar or it would be a beloved glitch, since the nostr and Bitcoin community are very gracious in giving. I don't know, just a random thought. I appreciate your random thought, sir, and that is the weather report. Welcome to part 2 of the news that you can use. Spark, the layer 2 launched by Lightspark from Atlas 21. Gee, what's it all about? You're about to find out. Lightspark introduces a layer 2 for instant payments, stablecoins, and interoperability with the Lightning Network. It is an open source layer 2 protocol developed by Lightspark, designed to offer instant low-cost payments without the need for intermediaries. It allows the creation of wallets and applications that interact directly with the Bitcoin and Lightning networks. The company's stated goal is to transform Bitcoin into a true global digital currency, solving the scalability limitations on the base layer. Lightspark is led by a guy named David Marcus, a former PayPal and former Facebook guy. He officially launched Spark in beta version on April 29th, 2025, and developers can already use Spark's SDKs to build self-custodial wallets compatible with Lightning and tokens like stablecoins native to the Bitcoin network. So how does it work? Well, Spark adopts a state chain-based approach, allowing the transfer of ownership of a UTXO off-chain between different users without using the main blockchain, thus reducing cost and transaction times. And instead of executing an on-chain transaction that physically moves the asset, users acquire signing rights or control over a key that represents a Bitcoin UTXO. Transfers occur through a chain of signatures and a mechanism that allows subsequent transactions to overwrite previous ones, ensuring that neither the user nor the service provider can lose funds during that operation. Spark is designed to be fully interoperable with Lightning Network, supporting not only Bitcoin transactions, but also stablecoins and other tokenized assets. So there's going to be a little bit of shitcoinery here. SSPs, I guess that is Spark Service Providers, or SSPs, facilitate Lightning payments by accepting funds on Spark and converting them into Lightning transactions or vice versa, eliminating the need for users to manage nodes or worry about channel liquidity. For example, a user can pay an LN invoice with a stablecoin on Spark, with the SSP converting the stablecoin into Bitcoin in the background and sending the funds to the recipient. There's a shared signature model, a multi-sig 2 of 2. Unlike the LN or Lightning Network Trust model, which is based on peer-to-peer bi-directional channels with smart contract logic, Spark involves a coordinating entity, the Spark Service Provider, the aforementioned SSP. This shifts part of the risk from channel liquidity management to trust and operations who sign, or rather trust and operators who sign off-chain transactions. The SSP's task is to sign blindly on behalf of the user, which means that the SSP does not see the content of the signature and doesn't even know if it is signing a Bitcoin transaction or another type of transaction. Bitcoin deposited on Spark always remains under the user's control. When a user sends funds to Spark, they are initially transferred to a state chain. Once funds are on the state chain, payments on the Spark network occur instantly and at near zero cost. At the heart of Spark security is the use of a shared signature scheme, specifically a 2 of 2 multi-sig. This means that 2 keys are required to authorize a transaction, and the user always holds one of them. When users adopt funds on Spark, or rather adopt, I don't know why I said that, when users deposit funds on Spark, they send them to a multi-sig address. Here, they maintain control of their funds and can perform a unilateral exit without the need to interact with other parties. Each payment is enabled by a Spark service provider, which must co-authorize the transaction together with the user for it to be valid and successful. Although the network is currently managed by the LightSpark and other operator, the FlashNet is what they say here in parentheses, users do not risk losing funds even if these operators stopped cooperating. In fact, Spark offers the possibility to unilaterally force the return of Bitcoin to the mainnet at any time. Users can exit Spark in 2 ways. Through a cooperative exit, which is cheaper and faster, or a unilateral exit, which is slower, but possible in case of a malfunction or some loss of trust. LightSpark has declared its intention to add more operators in the future to increase decentralization. Regarding fees, transactions within the Spark network are 0 fee. The only fees users will have to bear are Bitcoin's on-chain fees for depositing or withdrawing funds from Spark, and additionally transferring Bitcoin from Spark to LN involves a 0.25% fee plus routing fees. Conversely, a transaction from Lightning Network to Spark costs 0.15% in fees. Introduced in the summer of 2024, LRC20 is a token issuance protocol designed to be compatible with both Bitcoin's mainnet as well as Lightning Network, and anyone can issue an LRC20 token. The protocol also supports freeze and burn operations, giving the original issuing wallet the power to freeze tokens at any address, preventing transactions until unlocked. LRC20 is primarily designed for issuing stablecoins and regulated assets. After thoroughly testing it, the LightSpark team decided to run the LRC20 protocol natively on Spark to enable token issuance on the network. The birth of Spark has immediately attracted the interest of other Bitcoin projects. Among the various partnerships established, the multisig wallet Theia has integrated Spark to offer its users simpler and faster Bitcoin and stablecoin payments. Last May, Breeze announced a new implementation of the Breeze SDK based on Spark, which allows developers to integrate Lightning payments directly into their apps through Spark, and as part of this collaboration, Breeze will also act as a Spark service provider, helping to expand the ecosystem. According to the two companies, this partnership will provide developers with new Bitcoin native tools for use cases such as streaming payments, international remit, and micropayments for AI. Oh my God, it's artificial intelligence. I love all layer 2 stuff. I really do. We got Arc, we got this Spark, we got Lightning Network, we've got, and then we've got like, I don't know, maybe they should be called layer 2.5, but stuff like eCash and Fedimint and stuff like that. This is gonna, there's no way the FSB or the World Bank or the International Monetary Fund or the Central Bank of Mexico or the Federal Reserve or the SEC or the CFTC, they're completely outgunned. And when your enemy is outgunned, and believe me, guys, the people that I just mentioned, those institutions are indeed our enemy. Stop thinking that they're here for you. They don't give a shit. They don't care about you. They don't care about your wealth. They don't care about your children or if you have anything left over to send to them. They don't care. They're way too busy glad handing each other at like $10,000 a plate, $10,000 a plate dinners, $50,000 a plate dinners, $500,000 a plate dinners. These assholes that are wearing, $5,000 dresses that say tax the rich on it and just laughing their asses off. That's them thumbing their nose at you. These people, they don't care. And all I see is when I read stuff like this one about Spark, and then I put that into my little filing cabinet in my mind, and I look and I see Bitcoin, and I see what Tether's doing, and I see Lightning Network and Arc and all the stuff that I just named and all the stuff that I tell you about day after day after day. All of the bad people are at this moment outgunned. It is almost our duty to open fire. So what I hope that there are, more people out there that are like, literally, we could be doing anything else and making a fuck ton more money. And we're not. Why? Why do we continuously want to be poor? We always, on Twitter, it was that whole time, it was like, have fun staying poor. The only people that know how to have fun staying poor are actual Bitcoiners, because we're not working at Google. We're not taking 150,000 jobs at some fucking university so that we can sit in a cubicle and do essentially the nothing for humanity at all. No. That's not where the real fun is. And I know it sounds like I'm being sarcastic, but I'm not. What do you think wealth is? What is it that you really think wealth is? If it's like a shit ton of money so you can go buy a Lambo, you're not listening to this show, and you're probably not a Bitcoiner. And if you are, you probably were and are now a shitcoiner, thinking Doge is going to get you the Lambo so that you can, I don't know, every 2 years change timing chains at $5,000 a pop, because that's what it costs to change a timing chain on a Lamborghini. It's about $5,000. I mean, that's every 2 years. Do you even think about that when you buy the Lambo? I'm going to buy a Learjet. Do you have any idea what ground cost on a Learjet is? Are you insane? That's not wealth. That's poverty. That is a poverty mindset. I keep thinking, what happens if 100,000 people one day wake up and they all knew how to code and they all didn't give a shit about being poor for 10 straight years and they all loved Bitcoin? What the hell would happen to the rest of what would happen to the IMF and the Central Bank of Mexico? What would happen to Augustin Carstens? What would happen to Christine Lagarde and her felonious ways? What would happen to all the assholes in the United States Congress if we were just armed to the teeth and willing to pull the trigger? Because right now, ladies and gentlemen, they are outgunned. They don't even know about Spark. I guarantee it. Not yet. And when they do, they'll go, Jesus, one more thing. We don't have the resources to keep up. Do you see where we are on the hill? We have the advantage. We're not going to have the advantage for long. I mean, we'll probably have it for a lot longer than even I think, but at one point or another, you got to pull the trigger. You can't just continuously point the gun at your enemy while they're tracking you up the hill, even if you have the advantage. It's time to start pulling some triggers here, ladies and gentlemen. And Remix Point might be one of the people to help, because they're investing 887 million more yen into Bitcoin. Remix is a management consulting services company, and they have announced a purchase of $887.3 million worth of Bitcoin, and they got 55.68 Bitcoin for that. Do they do anything else? It's a Japanese company that started in the automotive and energy sectors, but has changed towards digital assets. It's one of the few public companies in Japan actively holding Bitcoin, seeing it as both a store of value and a hedge against the weakening yen. You mean weakening everything fiat. It's all going to hell, people. Their move highlights a growing shift in Japan's corporate space towards Bitcoin adoption. Are they the only ones that I'm going to tell you about today? No. Why? Because there's Mercurity. Mercurity FinTech is raising $800 million for their very own Bitcoin treasury. Mercurity FinTech Holding Incorporated has announced, they don't have it yet, they have announced plans to raise $800 million to establish a long-term Bitcoin treasury reserve. And according to Mercurity, they intend to transition a portion of its reserves into Bitcoin, supported by blockchain native custody, staking solutions, and tokenized treasury tools designed to advance yield and extend asset duration. And here's some suit speak from Shi Q, CEO of Mercurity. He says, or she says, I don't know, we're building the Bitcoin Treasury Reserve based on our belief that Bitcoin will become an essential component of the future financial infrastructure, and we are positioning our company to be a key player in the evolving digital financial system. Are we done? Are we done? No, we are not. F Street. God, I wish their name was FU Street, but it's not. It's F Street. They've announced their own goal of accumulating $10 million in Bitcoin. It's an alternative investment and private lending firm. So we just jumped from automotive and an energy sector where they're saying, fuck it, we got to get into this. And now we're back over to alternative investment and private lending firm land, because F Street today announced that it has begun adding Bitcoin to its own corporate treasury with the goal of accumulating $10 million in Bitcoin. The company began daily BTC purchases on June the 9th, so they've been stacking for 3 days using business proceeds and treasury funds. Quote, Bitcoin offers a compelling hedge against inflation and dollar debasement. Incorporating it into our treasury is a strategic step to preserve and grow value for our investors and our business interests. Yada, 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 yada. It's one after another, after another, after another, after another. We have the advantage. The enemy's looking straight down the barrel of our gun. Will we pull the trigger? I don't know. Somebody tried to pull the trigger, though, because I leave you with don't wear swag. We'll go back to these alleged New York City Bitcoin kidnappers who have now pled not guilty, and they're making some fairly wild claims about their accuser. We don't want to be anywhere close to this story. Do not make this story your story. Stop wearing Bitcoin swag in public. Don't get hammered at conferences by yourself. You know the drill. Know your exits. And stop advertising that you have Bitcoin. Logan Hitchcock ends us off with Decrypt. 2 men alleged to have kidnapped and tortured a man for access to his Bitcoin. They pleaded not guilty Wednesday. And their respective lawyers are saying that the accuser was able to move freely throughout New York City on the days that he was allegedly held captive. Are you already confused? Because if not, you will be. You will be. Lawyers for William Duplessis and John Waltz said that the unidentified accuser can be seen in videos laughing and smiling and smoking crack and participating in group sex, according to a report from the Associated Press. Oh my God. Quote, the story that he is telling doesn't make any sense, Sam Talkin, Duplessis' lawyer, said in a criminal court on Wednesday. The lawyer for Waltz added that witnesses told him that the accuser moved about freely, contrary to accusations that he was held captive and tortured. I'm very confused at this point, and I hope it's not just me, because I'm like, I don't know what the hell's going on. He was either kidnapped and held, or he was kidnapped and they let him go to the store to smoke crack and to participate in groups. What? WTF? Waltz was initially arrested and charged in late May after the accuser allegedly escaped a Manhattan townhouse where he said he was held. According to prosecutors at the time, the alleged victim was bound, beaten, and electrocuted as the captors attempted to gain access to his crypto. Assistant District Attorney Sarah Khan, Wrath of Khan, said that videos were leaked to try and present a counter-narrative indicating that the accuser was not permitted to leave the house freely, as the defendant's lawyers claim, according to the AP report. Police found evidence like a chainsaw, a loaded pistol, which helped corroborate the accuser's story, alongside photos of him with a gun to his head and one where he is being set on fire, according to multiple reports. But no burn marks were found on the alleged victim because the defendants quickly extinguished the flames, sometimes by urinating on him, per the AP. How many times was this guy set on fire? Because the sentence that he was they extinguished the flames, sometimes by urinating on him, means that this happened more than once. Plus the fact that they're pissing on him to put him out when he was on fire. See, it's this kind of help God, please help. I don't know what's going on. Prosecutors additionally believe that there may be 2 additional victims in other locations, and that the defendants have held people against their will before. The pair, who were charged with first-degree kidnapping, assault, and more, could be sentenced to life in prison if convicted. They were denied bail and will be detained until their next court appearance on July the 15th. A third person was arrested and charged in connection to the plot, but later released. Physical attacks and kidnappings of crypto investors have become more high profile, and then they go through the Ledger guy, David Ballin, blah, whatever. Does anybody understand what happened in this story? Does anybody have any clue? Or you like me where you're going, what the hell? You know what this actually sounds like? Here's my gut feeling. All 3 of these guys are working together somehow, and I don't know, something weird happened. I mean, I would say that this is a ruse, except some people are under indictment for it, so that I can probably kick that one out the window. But nothing about this makes sense. Did you kidnap the guy or not? Because it sounds to me what they're saying is like, yeah, we kidnapped him, but we let him roam around. So we weren't really holding him captive. We just kidnapped him. So that's in my mind. And then I'm like, who is this guy that's going around having group sex and smoking crack? I mean, okay, well, hey, guys, I know you're kidnapping me, and I know you want my Bitcoin, and I haven't given it to you yet, which is why I'm clearly still a fucking captive, but I was just wondering, you mind if I go down to, the bodega and grab a 6-pack of beer, maybe a handle of whiskey, and, walk over to Rosita's place where I can smoke some crack cocaine and have group sex? Do you see why I'm confused? And maybe it's just because I'm a nutbag. I don't know. I mean, maybe I shouldn't be confused. But everything about this sounds sketch as hell. It doesn't matter, though, because my plea to you always remains the same. Stop wearing orange. Stop it. Don't wear the Bitcoin hat. Don't wear the Bitcoin shirt. Because all of that just makes you a target. You might as well literally wear a giant target on your front and back that says, rob me, I own Bitcoin. Kidnap me, I own Bitcoin. Hold me for ransom, I have Bitcoin. Or better yet, kidnap me and let me go out and smoke crack cocaine and have group sex with Rosarita while I drink a 6-pack of beer and a handle of fucking whiskey. If you want to be in a very, very confusing place like this poor gentleman is, then by all means, wear as much swag as you possibly can, get hammered, smoke crack, hang out with hookers, go to the strip club, and announce on the deck that you have 100 Bitcoin and you're drunk and you're going home by yourself at 3 o'clock in the morning. Please do that, and guaranteed I will not see you on the other side. This has been Bitcoin and I'm your host, David Bennett. I hope you enjoyed today's episode and hope to see you again real soon. Have a great day.